everybody, and welcome to the High Performance Garden Show. This is week 4 and the garden is starting to do its thing. It's really fun. So today I want to talk about high performance garden characteristic number 4, which is very little time. This garden style uses very little time. It's a very quick garden. And in this 128 square feet, we can feed 2 to 3 people, and it only takes about 15 minutes per day. And right now the garden is only averaging about 10 minutes per day, which is awesome. So one of the things I want to talk about is what garden chore takes up so much time, and the number one thing is weeding. So we have several methods, techniques that we use in this garden to keep us from having to weed so much. And once you learn these techniques, your weeding will be greatly reduced, almost to nothing, which is pretty cool. So the first thing is to control your garden size. So you need to figure out, well, what do I need to grow? You know, do you need 15 zucchini plants, or do you just need 1? Do I need 10 tomato plants, or do I just need 3? And part of that is if you're growing in superior soils, you're going to need a lot fewer plants. So once you get into these great soils, then you're not going to have the need to have as many plants. The other thing that we do that reduces the amount of space that we need and the amount of weeds that we're going to pull is we have dedicated aisles. You can see I'm standing here in this aisle. So this aisle I can control. Right now I have mulch on it. We can control it with a lawnmower. We can lay plastic down, carpet down. And what that does is that reduces the size of the garden that needs tending to. So the garden may still have some size to it, but I don't have to rototill, water, or do anything to these aisles. So that's the second thing. The third thing is feeding the plants and not the whole garden. So when you're in a row garden, you know, you put the fertilizers, the amendments over the entire garden, and then you plant in little rows. So what's happening there is, yes, the plants are getting food in their little rows, but in between the little rows, the weeds are also getting food. So in this particular aisle, there's no food, there's no water. It cuts that weeding maintenance down tremendously. Plus I don't have to own a rototiller. So that's the next thing. And the last thing is mulch. If you don't want to weed, you want to mulch a lot. And we're going to get started mulching these beds as soon as the plants get just a little bit bigger. And that's going to cut our weeding down to almost nothing. So with those 4 techniques, you can really cut your weeding down, and that's going to save you a ton of time in the garden. So anyhow, let's get started. Let's take a look at what's going on in the garden. I want to come up here to the tomatoes and we'll start there. Okay, we're back here into our first unit back here, and these are our tomato plants. They are looking fantastic. We had a 20-degree night 2 nights ago. I was a little worried about them, but had the heavy blankets on. I actually was still running the heater, so they came through with flying colors. The spinach is doing really well. Now last week we talked about transplanting a little bit, and so I want to show you that technique and get a little bit of this transplanted. And then the shigaiku, I want to transplant a little bit of that, and then we'll get the hose out and we'll water these sections and stuff. So, okay, to transplant. What we're going to do is we're going to come down here. See, this section right here is really thick, and this section up here is really thin, so we want to move some of these plants from here up into there. So the way that we do that is you want to go down underneath the plants. So you're putting your hand all the way into the soil, and you're going to lift these plants up from the bottom, so we're not pulling them from the top. So see there, now I have a handful of plants. And then I'm just going to come along with my finger and poke a few holes in this bed where I want to put them. And I'm just going to take these one plant at a time. Now if you take a look at this plant, this one has, let me empty my other hand. We have the 2 baby leaves on the outside. We have the first 2 adult leaves. This is about as big of a plant that we can transplant without it going into shock. And one of the things we can do is, if it's a little bigger, is we can take off these first adult leaves. The crown of the plant is right here. There's another adult leaf coming there. So if you look at the bottom of the plant, we're trying to get the balance between the bottom and the top of the plant. So by taking off these couple extra leaves, I have a better balance between the amount of material at the bottom and the amount at the top, the crown obviously being in the center. And that's what we want to transplant. So we're just going to take that, stick it in the hole, and just pinch it shut. So So we want to get a couple of these moved into place. I'm also going to take the leaves off of them, just to reduce the shock. So if these spinach plants were any bigger, I would not be transplanting them. We would just go with what we had. Next week, I think we're going to do some thinning. These plants, some of them are still a little close together, but we can let them get just a little bit bigger, then we'll thin them, and then that'll be our first crop off of the garden. They're called microgreens, and they are delicious. Not sure what that is. Okay, here's another one. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the spinach. Like I say, we're going to go ahead and thin those. And so I have about 20 minutes between the time that I transplant and the time that I got to get these watered. So I'm going to go ahead and move on down to the shigaiku down here. And I got a couple of weeds here I'll get. Okay, now I want to do the same thing with these. I got kind of a blank spot in the center here. And I want to just move a few plants around. So I'm going to reach down in the soil, pop these plants up from the bottom. I'm not pulling them from their tops. Okay. And I'm going to shorten the first adult leaves on top. Just pinch that up, you can eat it. Man, this stuff is good. It's like nothing else you've ever tasted. How do I describe it? Kind of carroty, maybe a little bit like parsley with a twang. Okay, so you can eat and plant at the same time. If you've never grown this stuff, you should. It's a wonderful little thing to eat. Okay, we'll put a couple more in here. The cabbage will eventually grow over the top of these. These cabbage plants are looking awesome. But we want to get as much as we can out of this garden. And because I put that challenge out there, I need to make sure that this garden produces. Okay. A few more snacks here. Yum. Okay, that's all we need to transplant. Oh, I want to put a few in the front. Coming around the front. I got this section right here. This one doesn't have any. This one has too many. Reach down underneath. Pop them up from the bottom. Pull these out. In they go. Okay, now I've done 2 sections. I need to get the hose out and I need to get these watered. So I'll be right back with the hose. Okay, so what I want to do is water these in really, really well. I got to burp the baby again. That means we got to get the air pockets away from the roots. If we don't get the air pockets away from the roots, then we probably will lose our plants. So then I want to water the areas that I disrupted by pulling some plants up as well. Okay, one more time. I like to do it at least 2 or 3 times when I'm burping the baby. There's a dry spot. There we go. Okay. Now the next thing that they need is some shade. What I have here, we call these clown covers because they're so ridiculous looking. But this is actually a 50% shade cloth. And so I'm reducing the light. Here in the desert Southwest, we have a tremendous amount of light. I see an aphid. Squish. Okay. You got to watch for bugs on this stuff. This is the aphid time of year in the spring. So if you see one, squish one. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to put this, well, like I said, we call this clown cover. And it's going to be a 50% shade. The reason for this is so that the plants can get over their shock of being transplanted without dying. So this is one of our keys to success. I'll pull that tight after we do the rest of the garden. Okay, I'm just going to lay that down like that so we can see. All right, we're going to move on down, and this section has the cucumbers. So I got 1, 2, 3, my 4 piles of cucumbers. They've come up really well. It's got a few seeds on the top. Pop those off. There we go. And then in the front, here's our carrots. You can see I got carrots here and carrots, carrots, carrots. We'll let this go about another week, and then we'll get in here and weed this, mulch this, and if it's a little thin, we'll actually add seed for the carrots because they do not transplant so well because they have such a long root. So if we got a thin spot in the carrots, we'll just get some seed out. So this section is pretty much done. We're not going to touch it. I'll water it in a little while. And we're going to come on down here. This is our spinach and zucchini section. And I do see a few thin spots in the spinach, and I would like to go ahead and transplant some of these plants around. The zucchinis are looking great. They made it through the cold nights. They again had the cover on them. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and thin some of this spinach. Pick some spots where we want to plant some. And the zucchinis will of course run over the spinach at some point, but we'll get a good crop before that happens. And there's just a couple of weeds. All right, here we go. I'm going to go down underneath, pop them up from the bottom. And take off the adult leaves. Protecting the crown at all times. Okay, what's next? Burp the baby. We gotta get these things watered. Like I said, we have about 20 minutes. If it's hotter, we have maybe 5 or 10. If you're gonna transplant, I would usually do it earlier in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna get my water. I'll get these soaked in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and water the carrots and cucumbers while I'm here. If you guys don't have a good water spout, this thing on the end is called a dram head, D-R-A-M-M, dram. And they are my absolute favorites. Most garden centers will carry them, but they have such a nice rain shower for the plants. You know, it delivers a good amount of water, but it doesn't knock the plants down so bad. Okay, you want to water like you're doing a coloring book. I want to flip the water. Okay, what's next? Clown covers. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one over. And then I'm going to grab a second one because this is a really long bed. That's not going to hurt the cucumbers or the zucchinis or any of the other plants, the carrots, if they get a few days of clouds. So this is just mostly for the transplants, but it's okay for everybody. If you live in a climate that's already cloudy all the time, you could probably get away without doing this, but man, here where we get, like our average is like 320 days of sunshine a year. So we had to invent a way to make cloud cover because we can't count on the sky, which is awesome. So we get all these beautiful days. It doesn't have to cover exactly. It's okay if it gets, you know, a little sun during the day. We just don't want the whole day. Okay, there's that garden. This one's set up. Next we'll take a look at the one in the front. Okay, here we are in our 3-unit bed. I went over to one of my other beds and I stole a handful of transplants. This is kale. So what happened is this kale right up in here is really thin, and I don't want to go through the garden season with a blank spot in my garden. So I got some plants. Now you could do this by seed if you don't have any little plants. And I'm just going to poke some holes in here and we'll get some plants transplanted. And it's the same process as we did with the spinach. Lifted it up from the bottom. I could take off the adult leaves. They're not that big yet, so I'm feeling fairly confident that these plants won't shock that bad. So we'll just stick them in. What's that? That's not a kale. We'll skip that. I think it was a wild lettuce. We get wild lettuce in our irrigation water. Okay, in goes the kale. I can feel the heat of the morning starting to warm up, so I'm going to move along pretty quickly so we can get these things watered in and then get a cover over them. So to be a high productive garden, we can't have blank spots, so we always need to correct that. Besides, it's fun. Transplanting's fun. Okay, in they go. Kale. Kale's a wonderful vegetable. Had kale for breakfast. So it's good for breakfast too. Okay, a few more here. These are fairly close together because we're wanting the smaller leaves as opposed to bigger leaves, because I just like the smaller leaves better. They're a lot more tender. Let's see, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go around the other side. Oops. Sorry, little plant. I was sitting on my turnips. They'll be all right. Okay, let's see. 3 weeds there. We get them over here. So like I said, you could do this by seed, you can do it by plant, it's your choice. I just happened to have the plants that were the perfect size, so it's like, well, I might as well put plants in. Okay, and then I need a few up here. Okay, and right here. I don't see anything. So these guys are 3 inches apart or tighter. And I think that's just fine. Okay, we could stick it. I got 4 left. We'll put them all in. Or we can eat them. Our choice. Okay, one more. You go right there. Okay. So that's the kale. Now it's replanted. I need to get the water on that, but I think I'll talk through the end of the garden and then we'll come and water the whole thing. This is our broccoli. It's looking pretty good. It wants a drink. It's a little hot right now, but looking good. Turnips are looking good. They're coming up. We'll be eating those in a few weeks. Down on this end, this is our bok choy in through here. It's coming in pretty thick. I think next week we'll go ahead and thin that, and then we'll eat a few of those. But I think I will transplant. I got just one little spot here, and here's a thick spot. Okay, so if I'm transplanting ones that are this big, I absolutely have to get the adult leaves off. And besides that, I'm hungry. So take those off. Oh man, this stuff is so good. This is good for breakfast too. Sometimes I eat this, but I like it more for dinner. Okay. Got dandelion here. Go down, get the taproot. Underneath, pop it up from the bottom. Because if you don't, you're not going to win. The nice thing about this soil is it's usually pretty easy to win. Okay, we got that pretty good. I am not eating that. Dandelion's really bitter. A couple weeds here. And this is our Swiss chard. It's looking pretty good. You can see the little piles. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead, lift them from the bottom. And any place that we're missing a few, we'll stick a few in. Again, these are planted very close together. That's how I like them, because it gives me a lot of nice small leaves. Any of the places that are thick that we don't want to transplant today, we will thin next week. There's a lot of red ones in here. That's a weed. We'll replace it. This was charred. Okay, this end looks pretty good. I'll come around the other side. Got just a few down in here. So the garden doesn't have to be perfect because we can come back in and do a little course correction and get the plants where we want them and how we want them. That's a pretty normal procedure for us. We do this with all of our garden beds. Okay, there's the Swiss chard. These two are extra. Okay. Man, this stuff's good this morning. I must be starving. Now, this section in here, this is our beets and our butternut squash. I got one squash coming up here, and I don't have any others for the moment. We'll give it another week. If we're not seeing them in another week, we'll go ahead and replant those, get those coming up. I'm missing plants here, and we can transplant beets, believe it or not. Same process. I'm just going to pop them up from the bottom. Most people tell you can't transplant beets, so as soon as somebody tells me that, then I have to try it. So here we are, transplanting beets. So in they go. We can eat the beets at any size. I mean, you can actually start eating it at this size, but I like them to be just a little bit bigger. Okay, there's a weed. And there's extra beets here. We will thin the beets so that we get a little bigger bulbs. And that'll be next week. Okay, there we are. I got a squash here and I got a squash here. We'll see what they are going to do over the next few weeks. We should have some down in here, and we can always replant because there's plenty of time. Got just a few weeds. Okay, I'm going to grab the hose and we're going to get this thing watered. It's time. By taking off those adult leaves, we actually buy ourselves a little extra time, which is nice. Okay, we are done watering. The next thing I gotta do is put the cover on because I have to create the shade. So I have my my wires. Okay, and the other one. These wires are great if you can get somebody to cut you some of this. It's just the mesh that they use in the bottom of the cement when they're laying cement. And a cover. Whoa, that one tried to get me. Okay, most shade cloth you buy will be black. We just happen to get this fancy green and white. White's fine, black's fine, any color is fine. About 50% shade is what you're looking for. It comes anywhere from 25 to about 80% shade. When you start hitting above 50, it seems to be a little too dark. So try to hit around 50, 35% would be okay. Okay, that bed is done. Now we're going to come over here and take a look at our lettuce. So over here we have our first crop, and these will actually maybe even be ready to start picking next week. And I have just a couple weeds in there. I work so hard at weeding, can you tell? Let's see, that section of lettuce, this one needs to be transplanted a little bit. I do have a weed here, I will get that. Okay. So what I want here is I want a lettuce plant every 3 inches. I don't want multiples. I don't want empty spaces. So I'm going to take a look at each row. In any place I want to plant, I'm going to stick my finger in and make a hole. And I'm going to pull up a few weeds so I can see where there's no plants. And then we're going to move some plants around. That was pretty good. That one's got 1 in there. It's got 2. I like 2 in the side pockets. That needs some, that needs some. The pockets dry out faster than the rest of the beds, so what I'm seeing today as a general pattern is I'm replacing a lot of plants in the pockets. So what that's telling me is I need to pay just a little more attention to my water. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and find the plants that are multiple, and I'm going to thin them down to 1 plant every 3 inches or so. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and if there's extra plants, I want to take them out. I do not want the lettuce to be crowded any more than 3 inches apart. And the reason for that is we don't want an overabundance of lettuce. We want just the right amount of lettuce, because most of us can't handle 30 pounds of lettuce coming at us at once. We want 1 to 2 pounds a week. That's a better amount. Beautiful bronze lettuce here. This is oak leaf. Okay, I like the different colors of lettuce because we're supposed to eat all the colors of the rainbow, and the lettuce is a nice way to get a deep red. Okay, need a few more plants. Where are you, little plants? Oh, there's one. Oh, hey, where'd you go? There we are. Now, if you run out of plants, you can throw in seed, but then it's going to be off cycle, especially at this point. I always have a little backup of lettuce, and I'll probably go get that because I need just a few more plants. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab my backups and stick in a few more. Here we are. I got some of my backup plants. And I'll show you how to make backup plants. So I got a little bucket of dirt there too. All right, so what I want to do here, just go ahead and pop some of these out, get rid of some of these. See, they're really long. We're just going to rip across the top. I'm going to take that out. See, really, I just wanted to go get a snack. Ah, dirt. Okay, roots, save the crown. And we're going to plunk a few of these in. That's the only danger about eating in the garden is sometimes you eat dirt, but I don't think dirt hurts us, especially organic dirt. Where's this one go? Oh, there's a hole. 2 extra holes here. Okay, got that one. I need one there. So it's always good to plant some backup, and I will show you on the next batch because we're going to plant the other lettuce seed because we're on week 4, and we're going to plant some this week on our schedule. Okay, now taking a look, make sure I have a plant about every 3 inches or so. They don't have to be in perfect rows. Okay, how much time do we have to water? 20 minutes or less. So we're going to keep moving. Okay, and these will just go back into the greenhouse for later use. Okay, this is our last section until we take the turnips out. Then go ahead and pull some of that mulch off. Okay, I'm going to draw my lines. I just use my fingers at every 3 inches. Okay, and I have my seeds. Firecracker is my red. And we're just going to put a couple seeds every 3 inches so So we're not using the whole package. Your seed packets will last a lot longer if you don't overplant. But we want a couple seeds per hole, just in case they don't all germinate. Okay, and this is the arrowhead. And there's just a couple weeds come up in here. Out they go. Oh, weeding's so tough. See, you get that weeding down to a dull roar and the garden becomes really fun. Because planting and harvesting, that's all fun. Okay. And then we want some Tropicana. Tropicana's my green. Okay, and then we want to put some around the edges. Another little weed. Okay, cover up our seed. Now I have a few extra seeds in my hand. What I want to do is, this is one of my little trays that I transplant in. And this soil in here, if you look at it, it's just as soft and silky as can be. This is our secret potting soil seedling mix. Now, if you want the recipe for this, go up to the website. We have the recipe for this soil. It has worked fantastic for our family for 4 generations. And it will germinate seeds like you wouldn't believe. Part of the problem why people can't germinate is they go out in the backyard and dig up some soil. Well, there's the number one problem, is the soil is the wrong type to germinate the seeds in. So get your plants in the right kind of soil and they can do amazing things. Okay, so this is ready to water. Let me grab my water, get my seeds out of the way. Okay, we'll just go ahead and water the whole bed. Next week we get to pick lettuce out of it. That'll be great. So your little seeds that you're starting in the little pot, go ahead and take those in the house and get them to come up in there. Give them a little more warmth this time of year. Okay, that is done. And with the new seed, because it's seed, and I do have some mulch today, we can go ahead and mulch this lightly, very lightly. Like I said, grass clippings are my favorite. This here happens to be ground up straw that I ground up with the lawnmower. So put straw on the lawn, get the lawnmower out, run it over, catch it in the bag, until you get it chopped as fine as you would like. It should come out looking like grass clippings. Okay. So that layer of mulch will just help the soil stay more moist on top so that the seeds can come up. Okay, great. Well, this one will need a cover. We'll put that on next, and let me go grab that. Okay, so if you don't have any of this lovely clown cover shade cloth, you can use your frost blankets. It's okay for 3 days. 3 days is all these need to stay on. And you can just put that back on again. You can use a lightweight sheet, you can use the blankets, whatever you have. It's not going to affect the plants that much if it's just 3 days. So anyhow, this part of the garden is done. I want to share with you a couple of the other things that are happening on the farm. Because the garden doesn't take up all my time, I have time for other things. So we had what we called a lamb-a-lanch this weekend. So when we put the breed rams into the ewes, they're very energetic, we'll call it that. And a lot of the ewes will cycle at the same time, and so then we have babies everywhere. So in the last 72 hours, we've had 26 babies. It's really cool. But on the way, I want to show you this beautiful pile in the corner. That's another thing that happened this last week. So come on back. I want to have you take a look. So in my spare time in the winter, we make felted slippers. So this whole corner, every bag is a fleece. We have 93 fleece from our flock. It comes in gorgeous, gorgeous black. We have brown sheep. These are called Morit. This is the brown fleece. It is, brown is actually a very rare color in sheep. And we have about 15 sheep now that are brown. And of course we have the white fleece, which is typically what you see on the sheep. So what we do is, we sheared last week. We had a guy come from Wales. He came all the way over here, sheared our sheep. The wool, I have to keep the rain off of it, so it's piled in here. And then I'll take it in the house and wash it. And then in the winter time, we make these beautiful felted slippers. And so if you guys want the absolute most warmest, wonderfulest things for your feet this winter, you can get on our website and you can order a pair of slippers. We make tons of them right up through Christmas time. This time of year, not making quite so much because we are lambing. So let's go to the barn. I want to show you the babies. All right, here we go in the barn. We have babies from one end to the other. It was so awesome. Just like an avalanche, everything comes at once. The lamb avalanche did the same thing. All right, come on in. Hi, Macy. Okay. This is our first little baby. This is Macy. She was born last night. This is her mother, Clover. There you go. Yeah, there's Macy. Come on in. Okay, over here, this is Rose and her triplets, Petunia, Poppy, and Frodo. They are about 48 hours old. They're doing really well. Everybody's sacked out. Over here's Olivia. Olivia had Bubba J, and Bubba J is about 4 days old. Hi, Macy. All right. See over here on this side. This is Eva, and Eva had these two little ones. They don't even have names yet. Look at that fluffy face. They were born this morning, so they are maybe 5 hours old. Very, very young. Okay, come on down. This one here, we are packed. We are even got sheep in the alleyway. This is Brooke and her son Rio. And Rio is about 3 days old. He's doing quite well. In this pen here, we have Mississippi is the mom. And we got two little babies, and they are not named yet. They are about 16 hours old. So they are not very old yet. Come here, little buddy. Look at that face. Oh, he's a little cutie. Little fluff ball. Oh, this one's a little boy, the other one's a little girl. There you go. Go find your mama. Yeah. Oh, I woke you up, didn't I? Okay, over here we have chocolate fudge. And chocolate fudge has two little baby boys. This is Denali and Ghirardelli. Okay, and behind us here, over in this pen, this is Honey. And Honey's got two little sweet girls. One's named Kiwi, and the other one is named Kumquat. That's Kiwi's the little one there, just waking up. Hi, Rio. Are you going to help us? Huh? Hi, bud. And this one, this is Babette. Babette's little boy's name is Tonto. He's down there under the bench sleeping. Yep, there's Tonto. Yeah, he's Big boy. This is Babette's first baby. He's a sweetheart. Okay, get up. Come on, Viva. Get up so we can open the gate, Viva. Come on, Viva. Get up. Oh, these are the mamas to be. They are all very big and very pregnant. And they're just waiting their turn. Okay. In this pen here, this is Harlequin. And these babies were born about an hour ago. So she's just had them. And the black one is a little girl and the white one's a little boy. And they've been up and nursed. And then in this pen over here, this is Lily. Hi, Lily. Can you find her? She's hiding back in there. Hey, little buddy. This little girl. This is Lily's little girl. And she's about 45 minutes old. She's still wet. Well, this yellow kind of drops up. Hi, Lily. Yeah. That's your new baby. Yeah, and she doesn't have a name yet either. And she's just getting up, just starting to walk. They walk within 20 minutes. It's pretty awesome. It's okay. And we'll go outside and you can see the rest of the lamb-a-lanch. Okay, we'll start over here. This is Jasmine, and this is her first baby. This is Rispa. She's a little girl. Hey, Rispa. Come here, sweetheart. Rispa is about 3-4 days old. Oh, she's getting heavy already. Oh, hi, sweetie. Did I wake you up? Yeah. Here she is. Rispa. Over here we have Nova, and the black one is Kelly, and the white one is Ginger. And over here we have Madeline, and the black one is Marie, and the white one is Carol. And then we have Dixie, and in the corner is her two little boys. That's Solo, his firstborn, and Gizmo. And they're doing really well. So that is where we're at so far. We've birthed out 13 moms. We have 52 moms, so we're about 25% of the way. All right, let's head back to the greenhouse. The second gift that my garden gave me was thoughtfulness. After asking the question of how to make the garden easier, more productive, and take less time, I started thinking, researching, processing, and planning. I was now ready to try a new style of gardening that showed more promise of easiness, yield, and time savings. This is when we built our first raised beds and tried some soil amendments. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed our little tour of the lambs. That's what I like to do with my extra time. They're actually a dairy flock, so we get milk, we get wool, we get lambs, we get love. It's just pretty awesome. So if you like the show, then tell a friend, share our link with others, and go ahead and plant a garden. We're here to help anyone who wants to have an amazing, productive garden that takes very little time, so you can still have a life outside your garden. So this is the end of our show this week, so please join us next week as we watch the garden continue to grow and change, and we're actually going to do a little harvesting next week, so that's going to be fun. So until next time, may your garden be easy, fun, productive, and always organic.